became
Hey everyone, welcome back to Marvelous Videos. Today we're jumping into the world of one of the coolest and most iconic characters, the Silver Ranger. If you know, you know. These Sixth Rangers aren't just stylish, they're the ultimate problem solvers, swooping in when things hit rock bottom. They're literally the silver lining when everything goes dark. Silver Rangers may not get much screen time, but their gripping backstories and arcs have kept fans hooked. They resonate with anyone who's felt like an outsider, inspiring us to tap into our potential and stand tall, even if it's just to put a bully in their place. What really makes them stand out, though, is their often dark and dramatic origins. Their journeys usually flip between being straight-up villains to becoming the ultimate good guys. With all that in mind, we've rounded up 9 of the most powerful and memorable Silver Rangers in Power Rangers history. So let's take a trip down memory lane, dive into their origins and feats, and find out what makes these legendary heroes so unforgettable. Before we go into explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means an awful lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
This time, Ecliptor, the victory will be mine. You'll have to earn it.
Zane, Power Rangers in Space. Alright, so first up, of course, the one who tops the chart has to be the menacing Psycho Silver, or Zane. He was the first Silver Ranger ever to grace our television screens, and this is where it all begins, the enigma and lore of the Silver Ranger. Featuring for the very first time way back in 1998, the Silver Ranger from Power Rangers in Space went on to become a cult favorite in the years that followed. Zane is quirky, witty, and of course, if all else fails, he's got the very finest features too. But that's not all. He was inventive, a man who often forged his own path and destiny. While others were mired in the jaws of inescapable doom and distress, it is not for Zane. He always had something up his sleeve that the other Rangers could never fathom. Zane was best friends with Andros, the Red Ranger from In Space. The two were practically inseparable. If need be, they would lay down their lives for each other, something Zane proved when he leapt into battle to save Andros from the Red Statue monster, which was about to deal a fatal blow. But Zane's heroic act left him fatally wounded. With no available means to resuscitate him, Andros placed him in a cryogenic tube aboard the Astro Megaship. For 2 grueling years, Zane remained in cryosleep while Andros and the rest of the team fought to restore peace across the galaxy. Then, when the Megaship crashed on Cadix, Zane's life support system began to fail. He was awakened, but in spectacular fashion, he jumped into action, taking on the Scavengers and effortlessly defeating Ecliptor, all while the other Rangers struggled to keep up. Even when they attempted coordinated attacks, they were no match for the Beast. Zane also had a brief romantic stint with Astronema, one of the series' most complex villains, and Andros' long-lost sister, Carone. Their connection grew when Zane saved Astronema from a monster. Over time, it was revealed that Astronema was in fact Carone, the sister of Andros, who would later go on to become the second Pink Galaxy Ranger. Zane, being a lone operator, preferred going about things his own way. This is why we don't see him in most of the typical Ranger operations. However, he continued to return when needed and played a significant role in canon events, particularly in the legendary battle, to help restore peace and harmony in the galaxy. Zane, without a doubt, ranks highly among the toughest Power Rangers, boasting gadgetry and abilities that most could dream of. Aside from being highly skilled in combat, he also had the gift of telekinesis, much like his friend Andros. Orion, Power Rangers Super Mega Force. Next on our list is the Silver Ranger from Power Rangers Super Mega Force, Orion, an alien whose origins are both grand and tragic. His story reminds me of Aang from The Last Airbender. Orion hails from the distant planet Andresia, where a young alien child discovers a box containing the key to the Silver Ranger. The moment Orion touches the box, he feels a spiritual connection to it and begins having visions of the Sixth Ranger. Though he's hesitant to embrace his destiny, he can't ignore the call. That all changes when an Armada ship launches a surprise attack on Orion's village. Worried for his family's safety, he rushes home only to find his village destroyed, his home reduced to ashes. Filled with rage and a thirst for vengeance, Orion finally accepts his fate and morphs into the Silver Ranger. After being homeless for months, Orion dedicates himself to intense training, determined to survive the invasion. After successfully repairing an Armada vessel, he journeys into outer space, searching for a new home. Unfortunately, he crashes on Earth, where he maintains a low profile while taking down ex-Borg squads. To make ends meet, he works part-time at Ernie's Juice Bar. Orion's cover is blown when Gaia first encounters him and his true identity begins to unfold. However, it isn't until he intervenes during a standoff between the Power Rangers and Gorgax that his powers truly shine. Using trickery, Livira plants a bomb in Gorgax's force field collar, but Orion hurls it into the sky where it explodes, saving the day. He then takes on Gorgax, defeating him once and for all. After this dramatic revelation, Orion opens up to the Power Rangers about his past, and he is hailed as one of the greatest defenders, having played a pivotal role in the legendary battle that defeated the Armada. His morphing transformation is considered one of the most powerful in Power Rangers history. Though not much is known about his strengths or weaknesses, one thing is certain. His final strike moves are some of the most epic, showcasing some of the coolest power moves we've ever seen on the small screen.
Stand down, mutants. You will only get one warning. I am Robo Knight.
Robo Knight, Power Rangers Megaforce. After the end of the Zordon era in Power Rangers, it is believed that Gosei, Zordon's most favored protege, created with the aid of Megaforce Zords, and Tenso, a near-perfect facsimile of a beast unwavering in determination and iron will to thwart dangers and threats posed to humanity on Earth by alien adversaries. Yes, we're talking about Robo Knight, aka the Dark Silver Ranger. With razor-sharp reflexes and a lion's heart, very few Rangers can match the ferocity and poise of Robo Knight, an absolute badass in his craft and a born protector. He has always stepped up even when succumbing to the forces of evil at times. However, he has always fought back and stood true to his design and purpose as intended by Gosei. The lore of Robo Knight will always be celebrated and remembered among the later generations of Rangers and fans alike. He summons the Knight Brothers to form the Gosei Grand Megazord, which can crush armies on its own. However, as fate would have it, Robo Knight went into dormancy for centuries until he was steered awake, as believed, by the will of the planet to fight the War Star Insectoid army. As he awoke, centuries of deactivation and dormancy had greatly impacted his AI system and memories, causing him to become distant and aloof towards the Rangers and Gosei. This led to Robo Knight nearly endangering the safety of the people on Earth in a battle against Psychotic, sent by Vrak. Gosei suggested to the Rangers that the only way to restore Robo Knight's memories was through earning his trust and alliance, as his advanced technology made it impossible for anyone to reset him to his earlier directives. Eventually, Robo Knight did come around as he learned to cooperate with the Rangers. Despite his insistence on operating alone, he couldn't help but be in awe of the Rangers, working relentlessly as gears turning in perfect harmony to power a motor. Though still of the opinion that humans are overly emotional and often lead with their hearts rather than through the calculated decision-making required to make difficult calls, Robo Knight truly stood out when the morphers of the Rangers were temporarily disabled. He leapt into the scene, transferring his energy to the Rangers and offering his blaster and morpher to Troy. This act of heroic sacrifice earned him a place as the 6th Ranger. After being held captive temporarily as Vrak's watching dog and trusted, he became the Dark Robo Knight, launching attacks against the Power Rangers. However, Troy could successfully break him free from Vrak's clutches. Then, to make up for the atrocities he has committed against the Rangers, rescues Orion and fends off Vrak. Xenowing, Power Rangers Dino Supercharge. At number 4, we have on our list the alien bird Xenowing, aka the Titanosaurus Power Ranger Silver. His role is akin to that of a great wizard protector, a sorcerer of sorts endowed with the supreme knowledge of the Energems. It was he who created the Dino Charge Zords. He holds the Silver Energem, which he, over the years, has fused into and bonded to become the Dino Silver Charge Ranger. When Lord Arcanon, the arch-nemesis of the show, set out to obtain the Dark Energem to decimate Sentai 6, the planet where the Dark Energem was sealed on the orders of Xenowing, Xenowing proved no match for Arcanon and was eventually captured. Arcanon found the Dark Energem and used it to create Doomwing, Xenowing's dark and other half, sealing the Silver Energem inside a sword that could only be accessed by Arcanon and his generals. All hell breaks loose when the Power Rangers see that Doomwing, in the guise of the Silver Ranger, inquires about information on forging Dino Chargers and Zords. Initially mistaking Doomwing for the Silver Ranger, the Rangers offer him their assistance. However, they soon realize that they have been deceived when they discover the Zords acting on their own. After realizing that the Silver Ranger has been captured by Arcanon, they install a set of devices to disassemble and separate Xenowing from Doomwing into two disparate entities. Xenowing, fuming with rage, disregards and declines any assistance from the Rangers, deciding to deal with Doomwing on his own, under the notion that the Rangers will just get in his quest for revenge. Years of being bonded to Doomwing has clouded his judgment and corrupted his true emotions. Xenowing was quick to dawn upon that realization when, in an attack by Doomwing, he gravely wounded Riley due in part to his growing instability. He apologizes to the Rangers and sets out to settle scores with Doomwing once and for all and retrieves the Silver Energem. Being an Aven alien, Xenowing has the ability to ascend and launch attacks while in a state of projectile suspension at high speed. He can also dispel and hurl assailants across the distance by shooting blue fireballs from his hands. The Titano Saber Final Strike is possibly the finest in his arsenal of moves and finishing blows.
Titanium power!
Ryan Mitchell, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. Up next we have the Prodigal Son, the demon-cursed Titanium Ranger aka Ryan Mitchell. Of all the Silver Rangers in the Power Rangers saga, his story is probably the most terrifying. In the pilot episodes of Lightspeed Rescue, Ryan Mitchell serves as the central antagonist of the show, introducing himself to the Power Rangers with his iconic first words, "I am your worst nightmare." Ryan was raised by the demon Diabolico, who struck a deal with Ryan's father, Captain Mitchell. The deal came after a horrific accident during which Captain Mitchell, while driving with his children Ryan and Dana, lost control of the vehicle. The family fell toward a cliff. While Captain Mitchell was able to hold on to Dana, Ryan was left hanging by a thread clinging to his father's shoes. It was then that Diabolico appeared, offering to save Ryan on the condition that he would raise him instead. Though initially resistant, Captain Mitchell eventually gave in to Diabolico's offer to save his son. Diabolico manipulated Ryan by weaving a distorted version of the events that occurred, making him believe that his father had abandoned him in favor of his sister Dana. Under Diabolico's influence, Ryan was instructed to steal the titanium prototype morpher and kill the Power Rangers, including his sister. Ryan almost succeeded in his mission after morphing into the Titanium Ranger. However, he was ultimately overwhelmed by the newly developed V-Lancers brought by Mrs. Fairweather. The Rangers were ready to take him down, but Captain Mitchell intervened and shared the truth of Ryan's past. As Ryan began to recall faint memories of his childhood, he realized the painful truth: he had been living a lie. He escaped Diabolico's clutches and joined the Rangers at their base. However, Diabolico had one final trick up his sleeve. He placed a cobra tattoo on Ryan's back, which would constrict around his neck if he ever tried to morph into the Titanium Ranger. Ryan eventually found and destroyed the serpent, freeing himself from the curse. Ryan played a pivotal role in gathering intel on Queen Banshira's plans, helping the Power Rangers ultimately defeat her. As the Titanium Ranger, he had some of the coolest moves and abilities. His power of teleportation allowed him to instantly transport to any location in radiant, spherical flashes of blue light. Ryan was possibly the most skilled Silver Ranger in combat. Aside from being an expert martial artist, he demonstrated extraordinary feats of endurance, often taking on the entire team of Rangers, even in their morphed states, before ever donning his titanium armor. Zen Aku, Merrick Balaton, Power Rangers Wild Force. Zen Aku, or Merrick Balaton, is one of the 6 ancient warriors who fought the invasion of the land of Animus, led by the Orgs 3,000 years ago. For the most part, Zen Aku, the adversarial form of Merrick, is a fierce, battle-hardened warrior who overwhelmed and bested the Power Rangers every time they would square off and trade fists. His instincts were razor-sharp, and it was nearly impossible to outwit him in battle. He even managed to seize the elephant, giraffe, polar bear, and black bear Zords from the Power Rangers. In the Wild Force saga, his role has been instrumental. He is a double-edged sword, dubious and untamable, be it against the Rangers or sometimes later when he joins the Rangers against the forces of evil. He has always been a force to be reckoned with. The lore of Zen Aku was mired in tragic renunciations of love and loss. Zen Aku was a kind soul who, in the battle against the Orgs, prowlers of doom spawned from beneath the earth, rose above to wreak mayhem on the surface. While others used the power of the Crystal Sabers, Merrick was entrusted with the protection and safety of Princess Shayla, who he has also happened to be madly in love with. When the warriors were unmatched by Master Org, Merrick set out to find the fabled wolf mask that is said to offer immeasurable power to the wearer. He found the mask and wore it to summon the wolf, alligator, and hammerhead shark wild Zords to erect the Predazord, and finally destroyed Master Org. But the victory exacted a heavy price and took a toll on Merrick that ransacked his life by corrupting his spirit. Falling under evil influence, He became the evil Zen-Aku, who could neither be controlled nor subdued. With no other alternative, the ancient warriors took him down and imprisoned him inside a tomb. However, chaos ensued when he was awakened years later by the new Master Org with the hopes of destroying the Rangers. As Zen-Aku awoke from his deep slumber, he swore revenge against the Wild Forest Rangers, who were now the successors of the ancient warriors. With time, the Power Rangers discovered Zen-Aku's past and decided to help free him from his bond to the cursed mask. The spirit of Animus made repeated attempts to remind him of his past, his identity as Merrick, and his love for Princess Shayla. However, these fragments troubled him more as Nazor had planted a bug in Zen-Aku's head that prevented him from remembering his past. The Rangers brought Merrick back by defeating the Predazord with the help of two new Wild Zords, the Rhino and Armadillo. Ashamed and filled with remorse, Merrick sought to right the wrongs he had committed. He retrieved the stolen crystals and nearly risked his life while doing so. As he took on Master Org, Merrick's redemption arc was one of the best moments in the show. He then received the Lunar Wolf Collar and became the Lunar Wolf Ranger. His moments as the Lunar Wolf Ranger, when he creates his Evil Ranger clone through his shadow cloning technique, are absolutely ice cold. There can be no two ways about the legitimacy of his badassery on the show.
What in the...
Steel, Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Steel Silva, aka Steel, is the Grid Battle Force Silver Ranger, what was originally intended to be a mere beast bot developed with the purpose of hosting Evox, the sentient virus that turned rogue and was the show's central antagonist, became much more. As tradition has it in the lore of Power Rangers, Silver Rangers are always special. While they may not be conventionally heroic or virtuous like other Rangers usually are, which is probably why Silver Rangers are so fascinating, Steel was not very different. Being part human, part robot for the most part, he was eccentric, hale, and hearty, even to the extent of being gullible at times, but never relenting in the face of despair and doom. What makes the Silver Ranger stand apart is the legitimacy of his existence, and his identity is almost never certain. This perhaps drives him to perform the greatest sacrifices in the show and pull off feats of near insanity. We're teased at the show's beginning when he saw his head being carried across on a cart along with Nate's equipment to make room for the lab. As Skrozel assembled the Cybergate to create a gateway for Evox to enter our world, Nate was forced into action and with utmost reluctance began assembling Steel as a vessel to contain Evox. However, Nate made a few modifications to the robot that caused him to absorb his DNA and that of the Scarab Beetle, eventually transforming him into the Silver Ranger. However, threats still loomed large, as Evox was still after the Beast Bot's body to claim it as his own. Owing to his compatibility with Evox's data, General Burke viewed him as a threat who, when the time arrived, might turn out to be a rogue assailant. Steel, however, proved him wrong and earned his praise upon offering himself to Evox's forces to ensure the safety of Ben and Betty. That being said, his most poignant act of heroic selflessness came when he jeopardized his safety while braving a double energy attack to his stomach that drained Evox of his energy. Steel died, but his sacrifice was not in vain and did not go unnoticed by Master Green of the Morphin Masters. As a blessing and a gift, Steel was resurrected as a human, something that he had always longed to be. Gemma, Power Rangers RPM. At number 8, we have Gemma, who, like her brother, was part of an experiment at Alphabet Soup, the corrupt government-run project responsible for many of the events in Power Rangers RPM and Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Gemma and her twin brother Jem were held captive as phenoms for testing a prototype Ranger gear as part of the project. Gemma is highly intelligent, but much like her brother, she is also impulsive and childish. She had a taste of theatrics and disruption, often acting first without thinking, and making up for it through her incredible combat prowess. This tendency to shoot first, ask questions later, earned her and Jem the nickname the Boom Twins by the other Rangers. Gemma and Jem share a close bond, often finishing each other's sentences and functioning almost as one entity. She played a crucial role in helping the Samurai Rangers return to their world when Professor Korg caused an incursion to different dimensions. As the 6th Ranger, she and Jem appeared in Orion's vision of the 6th Ranger and helped summon the powers of all the 6 Rangers to create the Super Mega Force Gold Key. She also participated in the legendary battle where she helped defeat the Armada using her Sky Shift Blazers. In Super Ninja Steel, when Draven began kidnapping veteran Rangers across dimensions, Gemma returned to help defeat him. A genius and a survivor, Gemma is one of the most unique Silver Rangers. While her juvenile antiques can be whimsical, her intellect is on par with Dr. K's, as she possesses a remarkable understanding of quantum mechanics, making her a true tech genius. Tyzone, Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. Tyzone, or Ty, was the 6th Ranger in Operation Overdrive. He is an alien from the planet Mercuria who fought alongside his fiancée, Vela. The two were part of a search and rescue operations team known as the Intergalactic Emergency Responder Squad. During a mission, most of his team members were killed by the Fear Cats. Tyzone sought to track them down, which eventually led him to Earth. He was soon confronted by Moltor, who took advantage of the situation, making him a monster and binding him to a bargain that forced him to stay loyal. Not long after Ty came into close contact with a Red Ranger, Mac Hartford, Mac soon realized that Tyzone wasn't a bad guy. He was simply a man in pain, tricked into a contract he couldn't escape. The two worked together to track down the Toru Diamond. Eventually, when Tyzone was brought to the Hartford mansion, the Sentinel Knight used the jewels to restore him to his native form. Although he was offered a spot on the team, he initially declined as he had his own missions to focus on. In truth, he was apprehensive about losing another team. However, Ronnie spoke to him and had a breakthrough, convincing Ty that the situation wasn't his fault. Ty learned that Vela was still alive and that the Fear Cats had manipulated him into believing she had died. In the final battle against the Fear Cats, Tyzone destroyed Khazar alone in a brutal showdown. Hailing from Mercuria, he had the innate ability to manipulate Mercury at will and an impeccable force field strong enough to deflect even a bazooka attack. He also appeared in Orion's vision of the 6th Rangers.
Yeah, Orion!
Marvelous verdict. Silver Rangers have always had fascinating stories of courage and valor. Despite being given to negativity initially, they almost always found a way to redeem themselves, to rediscover their worth and their place in the world. Silver Rangers always have a predestined purpose to serve, more often than not as antagonists working against the Power Rangers. However, they often make the greatest sacrifices to make amends. What are your thoughts about the Silver Rangers? Do let us know in the comments down below. As always, if you like the content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.